Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are moving steadily through today, day number 3, innovative HR and everything in between. I look to my left, I can see it's 3 hours, 54 minutes and 2 seconds already of today's HR week, third themed day. Again, remember we have all day today, tomorrow and Friday, 2 more days of this fabulous HR topic themed week. Again, remember everything that you miss. So remember, there are lots of case studies, lots of different masterclasses, lots of things going on all through the day, from the morning till afternoon. And naturally, we don't expect you to be with us all of that time, every single minute of every single day. But the great thing is, remember, next week at some stage we'll be sending out a link to all of you, and you'll be able to obtain the more than 40 hours of all this content on demand whenever you want to see it, wherever you want to see it. So again, everything you missed, don't worry, you'll be able to sit down at your leisure whenever you want and watch it whenever's right for you. Right, let's move on. So now it's all about driving the rebirth of the HR function. This is really looking at the role of technology in reshaping the human resources landscape. I'm intrigued about this one, really intrigued to hear how this one's going to unfold right now. So everybody, welcome everybody into our virtual world of HR Week 2023. Let me introduce to you now the man who's going to shape this session forward as the moderator, founder of hrtech, Sriram Iyer. Sriram, over to you.
Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Hey, Peter, can you hear me?
I think we can hear you. Can we hear you? Yes, we can hear you. Keep talking.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Peter. Really excited to meet all of you virtually.
I can hear the tapping there. It sounds like a spider.
Oh, is it okay? No, that's not
I
us.
think we can hear you. Yeah, I think we can hear you. We can see you. I'm going to leave you now and let you take things away for us.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening to all those who have joined us virtually from across the world. It's really a pleasure to host an elite panel of best-in-class tech founders as part of this panel discussion. My name is Sriram Iyer. I'm the founder and CEO of hrtech. We are a HR technology advisory and consulting firm. I have about 25 years of HR practitioner experience and started off hrtech about 6 years back. The singular vision of hrtech is to ensure how do we make the HR teams more data-driven and tech-savvy. That's the singular focus of whatever we have been doing. On our hrtech marketplace, we have over 400 best-in-class HR technology product providers, 3 of whom are right now in front of you. So that's a quick overview about me. Let's move around the table and let's hear Alison first, John next, and Vishnu 30 seconds each for your self-introduction. Over to you, Alison.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Alison Eyring, and I live in Singapore. I'm the founder and CEO of Produgie. I'm the chair of the board of Organization Solutions that incubated and then spun out Produgie. I'm an adjunct professor at the National University of Singapore in the management and organization function, and I have a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology, and I'm a mom of 2 adult children, and I'm celebrating my 34th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Top that.
Congrats on that. Over to you, John.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is John Cherian. I'm based out of Mumbai and Singapore. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Enparadigm. We are an experiential learning and talent intelligence platform, and we've been doing something very exciting in the last few years. We've been using generative AI and immersive AI for productizing the end-to-end talent management space. And happy to speak more of it as we go along.
Vishnu?
Hey, thank you, Sriram. Hello, everyone. I'm Vishnuvardhan from Berribot, bringing over a decade of diverse HR experience, specializing in talent acquisition and management. As a co-founder of 2 startups, one is EdTech, another is in HR Tech, I have navigated the dynamic intersections of innovation and human resources, with a successful exit from an AI startup in the past. I'm thrilled to engage with you all in the conversation today. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishnu. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, John. This is a very very intriguing topic. All right. In 2015, Harvard Business Review had this cover page which had a huge time bomb ticking, and it said it's time to blow up HR and build something new. Now that was quite a story and created a lot of ripples. The story focused on how HR was, you know, focused on administrivia, administration plus trivia, lacked strategic insight. They were focused very, very on tactical aspects. They were pushing HR tasks to the line. They were managing with ambiguous authority. So there were too many complaints against the HR team and said that it's time to blow up HR. And down the line in 2020, I lead the HR Technology Task Force for Institute of Human Resource Professionals in Singapore. The institute came out with a report which mentioned that 90% of HR jobs in Singapore will be impacted by tech. This was actually published in the midst of the pandemic. And as we look at it 3 years down that line, ever since the report has been published, what was published is actually happening to be true. It's definitely a significant impact of technology on HR jobs, right? But before that, what is HR tech, right? HR technology is any technology that is used to plan, attract, onboard, engage, develop, retain, and even offboard talent. Today we have HR technology tools to engage with alumni of your organizations because people are boomeranging. And HR technology encompasses all web, cloud, mobile, your AI based products and services. Now, leveraging tech clearly has significant impact. It improves candidate and employee experience. It makes the HR teams more agile, data driven decision making rather than gut based decision making. It maximizes outcome on the shrinking HR budgets, so on and so forth. But in my opinion, the biggest impact is HR teams always cry about we don't get a seat in the decision making table. I think HR tech can really get us back a spot in the decision in the table, because it really makes us more strategic in nature. Now, why do HR teams not adopt tech? What are the various challenges, in incorporating tech and human resource aspects? How do you ensure we measure ROI? What are the best practices? Now, all this is what we are going to cover in the next 30 minutes with this exciting panel, right? But before I talk about the challenges and best practices, Alison, my first question to you is, what is that one significant trend that you see in the marketplace that is going to accelerate the adoption of tech by HR teams in 2024?
Okay, well, I'm not going to say AI because everyone's going to say AI. So I'm going to say instead, I think that what's going to happen is going to be the result of what happened in the past. And I think that a lot of functions overbought and under adopted technology. And I think that 2024 is going to be a lot of consolidation and forcing standalone technologies to integrate with others. And I think people are kind of tired of clicking around on different apps. And so I think there will be we'll continue to see consolidation, but then that's going to then give way to an acceleration with greater focus. I don't know how quickly I think that'll happen in 2024. Oh, Sriram, you're on mute.
Yeah, but I think you are definitely seeing it in a more pronounced fashion happening in 2024.
Yeah.
Fantastic. John, what about you? What is that one significant trend in 2024 and beyond, probably?
Yeah, I think two key aspects are going to definitely see an increased adoption of tech in the HR space. One is the need for a more enhanced employee experience, right? And one where the power is more in the hands of the employee. We are certainly in the era of you, right? Where it's not about the top management, the leadership driving outcomes, but it's about enabling each and every individual to perform and to grow themselves, right? So That is definitely going to increase the adoption of HR tech. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would see.
Thank you. Vishnu?
Yeah, Shyam. I just wanted to tell the difference between how the HR tech is moving from want to the need state. For example, I'll start with an example. In 2024, a pivotal trend shaping HR is the evolution of interview dynamics, how the dynamics are happening. Pre COVID, face to face interviews were the norm. But post COVID, there is a notable shift. Candidates now prefer virtual interviews for the initial rounds, offering them flexibility. However, this convenience has a downside. The rise of deep fake or lip sync technology has led to increase in fake interviews as an organized crime, poses a serious challenge. This trend necessitates HR teams to pivot from a want to a need for technology adaptation to combat this organized crime. In certain regions, I'm not consuming everything, but in certain regions, HR tech solutions that authenticates candidate identifiers and interviews are vital. So likewise, each and every technology will move from a want state to a need state. That's the how it is trend is moving on.
Sure. And what you are seeing in the marketplace is definitely the move of a recruitment tech from the want stage to the need stage, especially with your ultra scalable AI bot. Okay, great point. So we have off to a great start. Solid points, especially in my opinion. There are 5 generations in the workforce, right? And 5 generations of talent have different needs and different expectations and different expectations of technology. I think that's a significant challenge that we are seeing in the marketplace in terms of adoption, right? So but before I again move to the challenge, to help all of you understand what these excellent founders are doing, it's great to understand what is the HR problem that each one of them is trying to solve. So Alison, let's start off with you, right? How are you trying to solve the problem in the marketplace with Produgie?
So we describe Produgie as human-oriented technology that enables systemic leader, team, and organization effectiveness. So what the problem that we're helping to solve is that organizations really struggle to adapt fast enough for the pace of their business ambition. And either they're high growth and then the jobs are really outpacing the people, or they're decarbonizing, they're digitalizing. There's so many changes happening that people struggle to keep up with the pace of change. And so our software has embedded IP, predictive and prescriptive analytics, and multiple instances of AI, plus IP that predicts business growth, that helps to guide managers and work groups to make it easier for them to be awesome in their jobs. And we call it human-oriented technology because we don't think it's just owned by the HR department. So in fact, one of the big challenges is successfully deploying strategy. And often strategy fails because of human issues. We don't sustain the new strategy, or we don't align across teams. So those are the kinds of problems that we're trying to solve with Produgie.
Thank you, Alison. And we've seen demonstrations of Produgie, and we are quite sure that it will make a significant impact in how teams and individuals are able to scale up their performance, because they are able to see the direct impact of the work that they are doing. Thank you.
I would say, Sriram, the one thing I would also add is just that I do fundamentally believe that when we have great businesses, they attract great talent. And so I do care a lot about that. Great companies attract great talent, great leaders and great work groups and great work attract and retain people. And so it's just a little, so the focus isn't on the employee life cycle. Our focus is more on the culture, the environment, the organization that is enabling that to happen.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alison. John, over to you. You've been doing some great work in the talent development space, right? Would you want to talk about what problem you're trying to solve with Enparadigm?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to talent management, primarily companies have 3 main questions that they want answers to, right? The first question is, if I look at, in any industry, you have about 150 or 200 unique different roles, right? The first question that companies want answers to is, what skills do I need to have the right person in each of these roles, right? The second question is, where is any individual employee on these skills? And the third question is, what is the pathway to take an employee from where they are currently to where they need to be, right? So these are 3 questions that companies typically have when it comes to the talent management and the talent development space. And unfortunately, today the answer to these three questions lie in a huge host of vendors in the marketplace, right? So for question number one, we have skill mapping and competency mapping players. A lot of consulting companies do this work. For question number two, we have a lot of talent assessment companies that do this work. And for question number three, which is the pathway piece, we have a lot of either training and development companies or you have e-learning platforms that do this work. Right now, the challenge for a talent management professional is that they go to very, very different vendors for each of these pieces. So you go to one vendor for getting the skill profiling done, it comes to you in an Excel sheet or a PowerPoint presentation. And then you have to then go and manually find the next vendor to do assessments. Most of the assessments are very costly, and therefore you end up assessing only a fraction of your workforce. And then based on the results of the assessment, you have to now create journeys for different segments of people. And again, you're able to do that for maybe 1 to 5% of your organization, and the other 95% are asked to go and study by themselves on any learning platform, right? And most platforms are very passive experiences where you upload videos, you have slides, and it's not really an active learning experience, right? If you look at the way people really develop skill, you will find that no one really develops skill by just watching videos or just going through PowerPoint presentations, right? You really develop skill when you engage in hands-on real-world challenges and experiences. You get quick and real-time feedback from your environment, and you get very quick conceptual clarity on how to do any space better, right? And you iterate through that cycle multiple times, and that is how you really build skill or proficiency in any area, right? So these are challenges that are there in the marketplace today. And we solve for these challenges by one, bringing together skill profiling, assessments, and the learning path together in one platform. And secondly, by making that entire experience very experiential, hands-on, and real-world in nature, right? Through an active learning experience. So that's what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you, John. Vishnu?
Yeah, sure, Sriram. So before I start, I wanted to thank Alison and John. You got two inspiring products. One, John is creating an ecosystem, and Alison is solving the people-centric problem. Thank you for this opportunity to know about these products, Sriram. So let me start with my product. So at Berribot, we have revolutionized HR with three flagship products that solves three distinct problems by itself. It is particular to about the recruitment landscape. Firstly, the product name is Berry Connect, which empowers seamless human-like conversations across multiple platforms like phone call, chat, automating tasks, reducing workload, and optimizing hiring costs. The next product is Berry Proctor. It's a video interviewing platform, but it is a game changer. Why we call it as a game changer is the uniqueness of this product is it ensures a secure and impersonation-free candidate assessment experience completely with real-time updates. The minute any impersonator comes in, the panel will be getting notified. Even if I speak, it will let you know whether I am real Vishnu or not. Our latest innovation, the third product, is Berry's Interview Mastermind. We introduced the GenAI interviewers, which completely reshapes the assessment or the way in which the first level tech interviews are conducted. It gives you an unbiased feedback and also without any kind of an objective one, not in terms of subjective feedback. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to advanced AI tech, as we all know, but we are implementing it in real time on all the possible applications as much as possible. Our suite of solutions not only attracts top talent, but transforms how HR teams attract, retain, manage, and develop talent, making the recruitment process efficient, secure, and objective. This is what we do it in high level. Sriram.
Thank you, Vishnu. So, as you can see, the panel really comprises founders of tech solutions that probably try to manage the entire employee life cycle, right from recruitment to engagement to management to development of this resource called talent. Now, in the marketplace, there are a lot of challenges that HR teams are facing. For example, as I mentioned earlier, there are 5 generations of talent in the workplace, and there is a strong need for flexibility. There is a even more bigger need for better employee experience. With all of these in play, there is a significant challenge that HR teams are facing in bringing in technology, right? And that is what my next question to all of you is, right? What are the significant challenges that HR teams are facing today when integrating technology with human-centric talent management practices? And if so, what would be your recommendation to HR teams to navigate these challenges successfully? Right. So you've been working with various HR teams. So I would really like to understand, how you've been working with your clients. So Alison, as always, I put you on the spotlight first.
That's no fair. There are so many challenges. I think one of them is that people are really busy and they don't want to deploy technology that's not making their life better. And I think that it's really incumbent on anybody deploying technology to make sure that what they're doing is actually relieving a real pain that's experienced in the organization. So I think that's important. I think the other is it's really about, where does a manager fit in? And I think a lot of technology, and sometimes it really takes away the ability of the manager to be able to enable people. So for instance, there's a lot of technology around feedback. We want continuous feedback all the time. And sometimes that becomes a burden. There's too much feedback. So I think we really have to think about, how are we blending what the technology does and how it enables with how we just want to make people's lives better at work. And I think sometimes we lose focus of what's the human impact, the business impact, when we're trying to deploy technology, and then we're surprised because people poo-poo on it and they get upset. They don't want to adopt it. And often it's just not helping improve their life.
Exactly. So HR teams are always accused of looking at things from their perspective. They want to make things easier for themselves rather than trying to look at user adoption and make things easier for the employees. So spot on, Alison, in that assessment. So what do you think is how do you help your client HR teams in navigating these challenges?
Well, we had an instance when we were doing a deployment with a company that was pre-IPO, and I can still remember one of the HR people, we were talking to them about, well, what are some of the concerns? And they said, well, one of the concerns is this going to make my job easier? And I said, absolutely not. What it's going to do is it's going to take away some admin things, and now you're going to have to add more value, and that's actually a lot harder. And so that was a moment that was not so comfortable. But then we talked about, okay, make them be successful, get them ready so that they can play a better role. Because that's the other thing is you can't expect people to be happily deploying a technology if they also can't be effective as part of that deployment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Alison. John, your take on the challenge that HR teams are facing integrating technology with the human-centric approach, and how have you been helping your clients manage this?
So I think the very, very interesting part about human learning, right? I think when people did research on why humans are so good at learning, one of the first things that they discovered was that we have mirror neurons, right? And what are mirror neurons? They are basically neurons in our brain which allow us to observe what other people do and imitate them, right? So a lot of how human beings have learned from each other is by observation and imitation and repetition, right? And therefore, that human empathy and that human connect plays a huge role in the way human beings learn, right? Now, in an era of HR tech, when we are trying to digitize this process and when you're trying to automate and make a tech platform for this is the core insight that we should not forget, right? And therefore, when we deploy, learning solutions for clients, we try and see how is it that we are not compromising on the human-centric aspect of the experience, right? Can we still build in enough touch points along the journey to, for people to feel that, okay, there is a human in the loop on the other end motivating me to learn. Okay, that is one. Secondly, even where we're using technology, we are trying out a lot of very, very interesting things where using a class of AI called immersive AI, we are humanizing the entire experience, right? So you interact with digital avatars, which actually are machine models, but which talk and engage exactly the way a human being would do, right? And today, with a lot of generative AI solutions, the humanization of a lot of technology is definitely on the way, right? So I think that holds for great potential in retaining the human element while also enabling a high level of scalability and maybe a lower cost for clients.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had the opportunity to view some of these learning journeys and completely endorse the digital avatars, which really make it bring in that human interaction, though it is a humanless in a humanless format. I mean, thank you very much, John, for that. Vishnu, what about you, Vishnu? What
Yeah,
are the
sure.
challenges your teams are, your clients are facing?
Yeah. So always integrating technology with an human-centric talent management poses typical change management challenges, as we all know. With the fear of the unknown and loss of security is the chief of all these challenges. For instance, when launching Berry Connect, I still remember concerns arose about interaction, response rate. I will borrow certain points from both you and John. That is, an human touch. Skepticism about how many of them will interact with the bot, responsiveness in complex scenarios, and so on. However, in reality, our bot's response rates surpass even the seasoned recruiters in the field. But how we can prove this, how we can navigate these challenges involves robust change management, as I mentioned, providing them comprehensive training and a clear roadmap of both technology and the recruiter role, what they are going to play after this technology is going to be coming in hand. That will give them a clear view. That will solve most of the challenges and doubts whichever they arise from the industry. And as usual, the human centric, the human empathic touch should be there, even though technology is going to replace them. Ultimately, results speak louder than any initial reservations. So the key is to demonstrate the tangible benefits and efficiency of our technology brings to the talent management as a function and also as the end user experience. So bringing on these things will fostering confidence and adaptation towards this technology. Sriram.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Alison highlighted how people are busy. So, the technology that you bring in has to be in the flow of work. If it is not in the flow of work, it's not going to be meaningful. And then the other aspect on the role of manager is very, very critical in this entire thing. So, we need to factor in the role of manager. John did highlight about the fact that you got to think about the user experience, and which Vishnu also highlighted, human experience and change management. These are various challenges, definitely, that all teams are facing while implementing technology for HR. And thanks for sharing your feedback on how to manage these. In my opinion, we've been trying to sell technology to HR teams. We face tremendous resistance. One, because they are in turn not able to convince the CEOs and especially the CFOs on the ROI of HR tech, right? When I interview candidates on why they picked up HR as a function in college, they say, well, we wanted to avoid max, we wanted to avoid we wanted to avoid engineering, and that's why I took up HR as a subject, is what they typically say. So in such a case, helping the HR teams calculate ROI is going to be very, very critical. CEOs and the CFOs understand only dollars and cents, whereas HR teams talk in the language of empathy and employee satisfaction. Unless that translate into dollars and cents, it's never going to help them get approval from the leadership. So the question to you, let me start in the reverse direction, right, and give some time for Alison. So, Vishnu, how do you help your client HR teams measure ROI, calculate ROI for the technology that you are implementing for them?
Yeah, Shyam. So, see, not only Berribot, success in any HR technology implementation hinges on understanding and measuring the specific tangible KPIs tailored to each product. We cannot have same KPI for all HR technology. For instance, with Berry Connect, key indicators might include reduced turnaround time, decreased vendor utilization, and increased recruiter productivity, which are tangible ones. Meanwhile, Berry Proctor as a solution, the success can be measured by preventing any instances of impersonation. But overall, the real magic happens when organization realizes the compounding returns and transformative HR power tech, as you rightly mentioned, what it is providing them in terms of dollars. Our strategy centers on fostering this self-realization where client recognize the need to adapt and invest in HR tech for thriving, for solving any kind of challenges. By focusing on measurable and tangible benefits, we create a win-win scenario, instilling confidence in the transformative potential of the journey. But initially it will be challenging, but giving them a short term, making them to start small, showing them the ROI will yield a lot of confidence.
Fantastic. In fact, one of the things that I keep saying is rather than focusing on cost of hire and time to hire, HR team should focus on time to optimal productivity level, because you can hire a candidate in 30 days or 15 days or quite immediately too. But is the person really coming up to their optimal productivity is a key metric that they need to track. And so John, in terms of ROI for skills development and ensuring that they transition in their journey, how do you help your HR teams measure? What are the kind of KPIs that you track?
So when we look at a good learning solution, there are four aspects that we look at, right? And we call the framework RISE, REIS, okay? Relevance, engagement, impact, and skill. So is what you're doing relevant to the client industry, the cohort, the competencies and skills required, and at an individual level, how personalized can you make it, right? So that's the relevance part. When it comes to engagement, are you engaging the learner only at a cognitive level, or are you also engaging them at an emotional level? Are you also engaging them and trying to convert that into habit, right? So going from head to heart to hand, right? That's the continuum that you want. And are you doing it at a large enough set of audience in the organization that it moves from an individual habit to an organizational culture, right? So the cultural aspect is where you're really making that impact, right? So the second part was engagement. The third is the impact piece, right? That are you able to capture impact, not just on maybe learning scores or time spent in learning, but also in terms of behavioral shifts, in terms of certain business metrics that you're aligning the learning solution to, in terms of, is the performance of a cohort of people improving in their annual performance reviews, or in terms of retention of key talent, or in terms of the fill rate of people in senior roles from junior talent which has been promoted up, right? These are all different measures and metrics of impact, right? So that's the impact piece. And finally, I talked about scale. Are you enabling enough scale, right? So there are two dimensions of scale that we look at. One is what is the percentage of learner coverage that we are able to achieve, and two, that is how many people who need learning and how many of them are actually getting it. So learner coverage is one angle. The other angle is learning coverage, which is what is the percentage of skills or competencies that a person needs to be upskilled on versus what they're actually getting, right? So looking at any solution from all these four angles gives a multidimensional perspective in terms of evaluation on whether the solution is a good fit for the organization.
Fantastic. Thank you. Alison?
Well, from a Produgie perspective, we will look at, we help improve ROI in three different ways. So first is that we're providing measured impact. We have a methodology. It's a sprint engine that is providing a template of actions and behaviors and outcomes that are measured by different parties as individuals or teams execute them. And so the impact is certain outcomes that an individual or a team is delivering as seen by others. And it could be things like improved sales, successful deployment of a new product, instilling in more innovation in a team, setting expectations. There's just all kinds of things that we're measuring impact constantly. The other is having impact faster. And for Produgie, that's really important because we're all about adaptation, right? And often it's such a long time to see the impact. And so for us, that's a very important thing, is that the business sees an impact quickly. They're measuring outcomes that matter to them. They're seeing impact quickly. And the third is better value for money. Our licenses sell for less than 1 hour of coaching. And so, we're really technology that's more like a Microsoft license, or it's Google Cloud platform. And then you can layer the human support on top of it. And so I think that's a really important aspect of ROI, at least from a Produgie perspective, is being able to provide premium services to 3,000 instead of 550, which is one of our customer stories. Or another organization that was able to deploy personalized growth leader journeys to 600 people, and just the digital exhaust of that experience enabled them to drive succession planning, workforce planning, forward-focused development on the console. And so I think that's what technology can do, is it enables us to achieve those kinds of things. At least that's how we think about it. And in the process, we're helping accelerate development of people, align teams, and drive personal outcomes, greater motivation and impact, which are also measured in the system.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So it's not just about measuring the impact. It's all about showing the impact really fast so that people latch onto the adoption in a bigger way and show them value for money. That's going to be really, really critical, especially when HR budgets are shrinking.
Yeah.
These are great points, Alison. So we now come to the final question for the day to all of you, right? We really want you to talk about some of the best practices that your clients have done, or that you have helped your clients in this process of implementing tech for the HR function, thereby delivering better experience for your employees. So again, let's start with Vishnu. Vishnu, any best practices that you would like to share?
Sure, Sriram. See, for a seamless HR tech implementation, even though the clients are happy about the pilot and they're going to implement it, we advocate three key mindsets, not the strategies, mindsets. Firstly, as I mentioned before, start small, take baby steps, begin with smaller implementations, gradually expanding to build confidence in the product effectiveness. Also, it will give them a hands-on feel. Secondly, embrace change and trust the process. Acknowledging that the implementation journey may have the challenges, but maintaining trust in the process ensures a permanent and effective solutions rather than any short-term fixes. Last one is we need to view technology as our ally and not an adversary for sure. Technology should and it is always complementing HR efforts, not replacing them at any cost. HR professionals are, I'll always say this, akin to salt in the food, play a vital role, and technology's purpose is to streamline tasks, freeing them up from transformative responsibilities. As Alison told in the before, it should not complicate them. Adopting these three mindsets ensures, at least in my case, it ensures the successful HR implementation, positively impacting the adaptation towards this technology.
Thank you very much, Vishnu. John?
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think I lost the last, 30 seconds.
Okay.
If you don't mind repeating, I'll
So-
really appreciate that.
Yeah, John. John, I was asking about what are the best practices that you are helping, that you have encountered with your clients, and how some of the best practices that you've helped implement for your clients.
Okay, so I think some of the best practices are in terms of, first of all, when you're looking for an HR tech implementation, I think being fairly clear in terms of what the business outcome that we're trying to enable is, right? What is the larger picture? What is the outcome or the shift that we are trying to enable, right? Are there a couple of business metrics that we are trying to move the needle on? Is there some kind of a TAT or a throughput or a turn, any other metric that we can kind of hold the whole solution accountable to, right? So that's question number one. Then we work backward from the business metric to the solution metric. If there's a particular solution in space, for example, learning, therefore, from a business outcome, we move to a learning outcome. What are the learning outcomes that we want, for this cohort of people, right? That's the second piece. And then the third piece comes in terms of, for that learning outcome to be enabled, what is the approach? What is the solution? What will both parties do? One from the client end as well as from the vendor end, right? And having that clarity is very important. Many times, what happens is that both parties get into implementation without defining this very clearly, and then at some point of time you realize that the clarity is lost in terms of what we are really trying to achieve as an outcome, right? And we end up getting just stuck in a lot of very implementation and tactical level detailing, and there's quite a high risk of failure over there, right? And finally, having a fairly clear process of review and governance, that if there is an outcome that we are trying to drive and there is a solution being implemented, are we clear in terms of the different escalation mechanisms, the escalation levels, what are the frequencies of reviews at each escalation level, and how do we kind of know whether we are headed to the right in the right direction? Are we having the right kind of milestones in place, right? I think if we kind of put all these things in place, then the probability of success and outcomes for the business are far higher, right? In my experience, I found that an effective HR solution is something that all CEOs and business heads really, really want, right? Because they all understand that this is very important for the business also to scale and grow. However, what many times becomes missing is the approach that we follow. I think all the different aspects that I just laid out, are we really following that approach effectively, or are we just compromising on different aspects of that approach? Then we end up looking a little tactical, and we end up missing the forest for the trees, right? And that is when business says, why are you doing this? What outcome are you trying to achieve? Maybe this is not adding value. Let's just cut it out, right? So you end up there instead.
Fantastic, John. Alison?
Well, I love what Vishnu and John said. I think they're giving some really great guidance around the change aspect of technology. The only thing I would say is that I think that it's really important to have the right team that's thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're going to deploy it. Because I think that there's a lot of HR people that we hear all these words, APIs and integrations and different architectures. And sometimes it's really overwhelming to get a good partner. And so I just make sure that you've got people that understand these things and understand the difference between like a monolithic architecture versus something that's more modular that you can disaggregate. And I always say, start with the data. Work flows, and it flows because data flows through it. And so if you can really understand what's that flow, what's the work, what are you trying to do, and how are you trying to get this working with other parts of the business, then you're going to involve people that are affected. And I've seen so many groups, they're not involving the right people, and they're not involving people with the right skill sets. And don't believe that just because somebody's an IT person that it means that they actually have the right skill sets to give you advice on HR implementation. So I feel that's really a struggle. So read a lot, learn a lot, ask people who've done it before what you can learn from them.
Fantastic. Peter just popped in and we're just wrapping it up. So it's been a great panel discussion. Here are some key takeaways. Start with the solution. Don't start with the problem. Have clear business outcomes in mind, not just HR outcomes. Have a strong process and governance, which acts as a compass for you in measuring your implementation success. Start small, take baby steps, and then slowly grow and scale. You have to embrace change. The most important of all, which Alison really highlighted, was you've got to involve the right people with the right skills. That's going to be important. And finally, ensure you measure impact, and the impact has to be have happen faster for people to gain confidence. If the impact doesn't happen fast, people are going to lose confidence. So that was a great panel session. Thank you very much, Alison, Vishnu, and John, for your inputs, and I hope to share my takeaways from these in a blog. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a fabulous, again, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. A fabulous, productive conversation we just had there. And again, I invite all of you as well, making it easier for all our audience to reach out to you. Maybe your LinkedIn profile link, pop that into the chat right now, and then the audience members, they can reach out to you, connect with you, and then take conversations forward if they really need to. Listen, thank you so much for sharing this healthy, productive conversation. But most of all, thanks for your time. And I do have to say, 34 years marriage in this day and age is a wonderful achievement. Alison, how are you going to celebrate? Well, I don't know is it maybe a surprise? Maybe your husband.
Our dear friends invited themselves over. We had a group of friends invite themselves over for dinner. Same
and
guy.
I hope your husband realizes it's 34 years, does he?
Yes.
Hopefully. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It'll
Okay,
be
right.
great.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time, and hopefully see you again. Bye-bye.
Thanks.